Welcome back to APP 2015. I'm talking to Mark Crotty, the chair of the Generics Medicines Industry Association. Mark, what's the situation with the uptake of generics in Australia in 2015?
So currently the figures suggest that approximately 60% of medicines, once they lose patent, are substituted over to generics. That compares to other countries which are basically in the 70s and as high as 85%. So we believe that the uptake could be stronger, and we're looking for policies and ways which we can encourage that uptake to get probably another 10 percentage points up in the next 5 years.
And you think any moves to increase this uptake have to come from government?
Look, I think it's not just government. I think government can do their part. There are various things we can do, and we've suggested things like listings of medicines occurring more frequently. Maybe we can have policies which help us at the doctor level and not just within the pharmacy, where it's often the conversation between the pharmacist and the patient. So I think there are opportunities. It's not just the government. I think it's the whole supply chain, if you like.
And what's the relationship at the moment between the generics industry and pharmacy?
Well, it's an excellent relationship. It has been for many years. I think, as you would know, about 42% of scripts that come out of pharmacy come out of the GMIA members, and so we have our members as long-term partners working with pharmacy. So it's a pretty solid relationship.
And can you elaborate on some of those arrangements you've got with your members and pharmacies? How are they working together?
As I said, they work together on things like just trading terms, on helping staff in terms of just general things that happen within the pharmacy. And it depends, different companies have different programs, so I wouldn't really want to comment on individual companies, but it's a pretty tight relationship.
And currently pharmacy is negotiating the 6th Community Pharmacy Agreement. I mean, is there anything that you think that can be incorporated into that will improve the relationship with generics manufacturers, or what's your views on what you'd like to get out of it? Look,
today we spoke at APP about the similarities and some of our challenges, and definitely the viability of the generics industry and the viability of pharmacy are quite strongly linked. We have both had to deal with the consequences of price disclosure and accelerated price disclosure, and so I think it's both in our interest that we don't have any further changes to the price disclosure mechanism. I think that our margins in some of our products have got too low, and so both the generics industry and both pharmacy would like to see some mechanisms where we can actually make sure we get a fair return for the work that we do.
What sort of impacts has price disclosure had on generics manufacturers?
I think both the generics manufacturers and the originator companies whose products have lost patent have contributed, will contribute over $20 billion in terms of savings over a 10-year period that weren't in the budget post 2007. So I mean, those numbers would suggest that it has been quite a change in the marketplace and the way we operate. We also appreciate that there's been a lot of products that have come off patent. What we have seen in the forward period is the evolution of what we call the biosimilars market, and that is a changing dynamic again from what we've witnessed with some of the generics which we've seen come off over the last 5 years.
And can you explain a bit about the biosimilars market to that pharmacists will be?
Yeah, so look, obviously biosimilars are the comparable copy products to the biologics. So they're comparable in terms of safety, efficacy, and quality. We've had biosimilars in Australia over the last 3 years, but what we've seen is a real emergence of them as the biologics lose patent around the world. In Australia, we hope to see a lot more of these biosimilars coming in the next 5 years.
And is the reason they're not coming in as yet, is that a regulatory thing, or what's happening there?
It's mainly because of the timing of patent expiry, and so the patent expiries, as I said, are starting to occur this year and over the next 5 years. What we're looking for and working with government is basically a regulatory pathway, and also important a pathway to ensure that there's an uptake of the biosimilars to make the savings and the accessibility worthwhile for both the government and ourselves.
And just to conclude, if there's one piece of advice you give to pharmacists in terms of how they can help in improving generic switching levels, what would you say?
Look, I really think pharmacy on the whole are doing a great job. I think there is too much reliance upon pharmacy to be doing all the work with the patient. Obviously there's some that are heavier substituted than others, and I'd encourage the ones who maybe aren't heavily substituted to look at the benefits that can come not just for their pharmacy but for the system as a whole through substitution.
Thank you, Mark, and we'll be back with more from APP 2015 from Pharmacy News.